Welcome back. Tell your own true scary story. Carl and I, both decorated Army veterans, had hunted in some of the most unforgiving terrains, but nothing compared to the vast, treacherous Alaskan wilderness. It was here we sought the famed Alaskan moose, known for its elusive nature and stunningly colossal size. Our first couple of days were peaceful. The forest was serene, and we saw signs of moose activity. However, we also noticed strange carvings on the trees, symbols that were unlike anything we had seen before. The carvings were new, the wood shavings still fresh, a sign that unsettled us both. On the third day we came upon a horrifying sight. An animal carcass, a moose this time, arranged in a circular pattern, with a wooden effigy in the middle. The effigy was grotesque, a figure with enormous antlers. The sight filled us with dread. Something unnatural was happening in these woods. Driven by our instincts, we chose to track whoever was behind this. As seasoned hunters and military veterans, we understood the potential danger but felt obligated to investigate. We followed the carved symbols deeper into the forest. As dusk fell, we decided to return to camp. But as we turned to leave, a horn echoed through the woods, freezing us in our tracks. The sound was otherworldly, sending shivers down our spines. Hiding among the bushes, we saw them. A group of figures, dressed in ragged earth-toned clothing. They smeared themselves with mud and paint, their faces hidden under tribal masks. They circled around a newly killed moose, chanting in an unfamiliar language. The leader, a towering figure with an elaborate mask and antlers, suddenly stopped chanting and turned towards us. Our watches, set to alarm at dusk, had beeped. The sound seemed to echo through the silence, drawing the leader's attention. He pointed towards us, causing the rest of the group to cease their chanting and turn our way. As they pointed towards us, Carl and I exchanged a glance. We had been spotted. Without a word, we sprung into action. Our military training took over. Survival was the goal. Panic-stricken, we leveled our rifles towards them. Our fingers twitched anxiously on the triggers as the grim reality of our predicament sank its claws into our minds. We fired warning shots into the twilight gloom, but despite our efforts, the warning shots failed to deter their advance. The group spread out, their forms half hidden in the looming shadows, expertly maneuvering to dodge our shots. It dawned on us then, even with a hailstorm of bullets, there were simply too many of them. A standoff was no longer an option. We had to rely on our agility. In a desperate bid to cause confusion and buy us some time, we hurled our equipment into the surrounding trees, hoping the noise would cause distractions, and sprinted deeper into the forest, boots crunching against the undergrowth. We ran in a zigzag pattern, a classic evasion tactic used to confuse pursuers. All around us, the forest became a blur of green and brown. We came upon a small river cutting through the landscape, a fortunate find. With the water masking our tracks, we waded through, careful to avoid splashing. Once across, we backtracked upstream for a couple hundred yards before re-entering the woods, confident this trick would mislead them. After a while of misleading our tracks, we began to think we had outsmarted them when we realized something was missing. The eerie forest sounds were gone. The forest was completely silent, an indication of a predator near. That's when we heard the footsteps again. They were on our tracks again and closing in fast. Panicked, we began to run again. We picked up rocks and threw them in various directions, causing noise to misdirect our pursuers. Each throw was a calculated effort to create a confusing soundscape, disrupting their focus. Yet despite our best efforts, the relentless group remained close behind. The leader, the one adorned with antlers, was always on our heels. His speed was uncanny. His tracking ability was nothing short of extraordinary. Unnatural even. In the wilderness, under the cover of darkness, he never lost our trail, redirecting our pursuers at every trick we attempted. Our hearts pounded against our chests, our breaths became ragged, and our bodies screamed for respite. We knew we were running out of time. Our only chance was to find refuge. That's when we spotted the tree. It was a massive Sitka spruce, its branches forming a natural ladder towards safety. It was clear we couldn't escape on the ground, not with whatever it was leading them, so we would have to bet on them not looking up. We began to confuse our tracks yet again, keeping our chosen location secret, and with our last ounces of energy, we began to climb. Having ascended the enormous Sitka spruce, we wedged ourselves into a hollow between two massive branches. Beneath us, the forest floor was a patchwork of shadows and moonlight. For a moment, it seemed like our plan had worked. We watched from above as the ritualistic party arrived, scanning the ground, their confusion palpable. We dared not breathe, let alone move. But then the leader, the one with the antlers, stopped. His head slowly tilted upwards, and our hearts pounded against our chests like tribal drums. Just as his gaze started to align with our hideout, a soft growl echoed through the silence. It was then that we noticed the bear cubs nestled deeper within the hollow. Their tiny eyes were filled with fear and curiosity, their growls a warning. The forest erupted into a cacophony of roars. The mother grizzly, drawn by the growls of her cubs, burst onto the scene. The enormous beast charged towards the tree with a terrifying ferocity that sent the chanting party into disarray. The grizzly's roars, the cubs' growls, and the screams of our pursuers created a chaotic symphony that gave us our chance. In the ensuing pandemonium, we made our escape, slipping down the opposite side of the tree. From there, it was a blind sprint through the dense forest. Without our compasses or maps, which we'd abandoned in the turmoil, we had only the twinkling stars to guide us, constellations becoming our compass. But even as we navigated the wilderness, the ominous feeling of dread hung over us like a storm cloud. Every snapped twig or rustle of leaves sent us into a frenzy, the haunting memories of the leader's inhuman speed and the grizzly bear's ferocity creating phantoms in our minds. The fear gnawed at our sanity, transforming every shadow into a stalking beast, every sound into the footfall of the leader. By the time we staggered into our camp, we were shadows of ourselves, our bodies trembling, and our minds teetering on the edge of panic. The safety of the camp offered no comfort, only the cold reminder of our horrifying brush with death. And now the scars of that night still linger. The roars of the grizzly, the ritualistic chants, the leader's relentless pursuit, they are echoes that haunt us. They are a chilling symphony that plays on a loop, serving as an everlasting reminder of the dread we experienced, the stark horrors that exist hidden beneath the serene beauty of the wilderness. Every ending is but a new beginning in the realm of the strange and the unexplained. Subscribe to keep the stories breathing and the mysteries unraveling. Until we next cross paths again, sleep well, if you dare.